The average car in America gets junked at 156,000 miles. That's it. 156,000 miles. And it's done. Crushed. Recycled. Gone. Meanwhile, in Japan, Toyota Tacomas are rolling past 1.6 million miles. Tundras are hitting 1 million miles on the original engine and transmission. Land Cruisers from the 1990s are still racking up miles with over 1.6 million on the odometer. And these are not museum pieces. These are daily driven work trucks and family haulers. So what do Japanese drivers and engineers know that the rest of us don't? Turns out, it's not one big secret. It's a system, a philosophy, a completely different way of thinking about your car. And today, I'm breaking down exactly how the Japanese make their cars last 500,000 miles and beyond without major repairs. Some of this is going to sound almost too simple, but that's the point. Let's start with the engineering, because that's the foundation everything else is built on. Japanese automakers, Toyota, Honda, Nissan, Mazda, they don't design cars to be exciting for 3 years and then fall apart. They design them to be boring and bulletproof. There's a philosophy behind this, and it has a name: Kaizen. It means change for the better, and it's the backbone of how Toyota builds every single vehicle. Kaizen isn't about making massive revolutionary changes. It's about making tiny, incremental improvements every single day on every single component, at every single stage of production. Toyota's factories operate under a system where any worker on the assembly line, from the newest hire to the most senior engineer, can stop the entire production line if they spot a quality issue. Think about that. A single factory worker has the authority to halt millions of dollars worth of production because they noticed something did not look right. That's how seriously they take quality. Toyota's chief engineer Mike Swears once popped open the hood of a 1 million mile Tundra, not to celebrate the achievement, but to study why the components lasted that long. He used what he found to redesign the next generation Tundra. When Victor Shepard's 2007 Tundra hit 1 million miles, almost every component was still fully functioning. The only things that had failed were the sun visor detent on the driver's side and the odometer, which simply could not display more than 999,999 miles. Toyota was so impressed they gave him a brand new truck and took his old one back to their engineers so they could learn from it. But here's what most people miss. Engineering alone doesn't get you to 500,000 miles. The car is only half the equation. The other half is what happens after you drive it off the lot. Trick number 1, the 60-second warm-up rule. Most Americans start their car and immediately floor it out of the driveway. Japanese drivers do the opposite. They let the engine idle for 30 to 60 seconds, then drive gently for the first few minutes. That's it. No sitting there for 10 minutes, letting it warm up like your grandfather told you to. Just a brief pause. Why does this matter? When your engine is cold, the oil is thick and sluggish. It has not circulated to all the critical components yet. Flooring it on a cold engine is like asking someone to sprint before they have stretched. You are forcing metal parts to work under extreme friction before they are properly lubricated. That brief warm-up lets oil flow through the engine before anything starts working hard. It sounds almost too simple to matter, but multiply that by every single start over 10 or 15 years, and the difference in engine wear is enormous. Trick number 2, oil changes based on how you actually drive, not what the sticker says. Here is where Japanese car owners diverge from everyone else. In America, many of us follow whatever the manufacturer recommends, or honestly, whatever the quick lube shop tells us. Japanese drivers adjust their oil change intervals based on actual driving conditions. Short city trips with constant stopping and starting chew through oil much faster than long highway drives. That is not opinion, that is physics. Stop-and-go traffic means the engine never fully reaches optimal operating temperature. Fuel contamination builds up in the oil faster, and moisture condenses inside the crankcase. Japanese high-mileage owners change synthetic oil every 3,000 to 5,000 miles when they do a lot of city driving, even if the manufacturer recommends 7,500 or 10,000 miles. Some of them send oil samples to labs for analysis to detect metal particles and contaminants before problems start. That sounds obsessive, but the owner of a 1.6 million mile Tacoma went through 192 oil changes over its life. He treated it like a sacred ritual, and his engine lasted 880,000 miles before needing a replacement. Hey, if you are learning something new here, do me a favor and hit that like button. It really helps the channel. Trick number 3, replace all fluids, not just oil. This is where most car owners completely drop the ball. They change the oil religiously, but they ignore every other fluid in the vehicle. Transmission fluid, brake fluid, coolant, power steering fluid. Every single one of these degrades over time and directly affects a major system. Cooling system corrosion is responsible for roughly 25% of engine failures. 1 out of every 4 engines that die could have been saved by simply flushing the coolant on schedule. Burnt transmission fluid leads to gearbox failure. Old brake fluid absorbs moisture and reduces stopping power. Degraded power steering fluid wears out the pump. Japanese high-mileage owners flush these fluids every 2 years or 30,000 miles. It is not expensive, it is not complicated, and it prevents catastrophic failures that cost thousands to repair. Trick number 4, smooth, deliberate driving. This is not about driving slow, it is about driving smart. Japanese drivers who accumulate massive mileage do not slam the accelerator or stomp the brakes. They apply smooth, gradual inputs when accelerating. They brake early and gently. They keep the engine in its comfortable revolutions per minute range, instead of constantly revving it to the red line or lugging it at low engine speed. Think about it this way. Every time you slam the gas pedal, you are shocking the drivetrain. Every time you slam the brakes, you are grinding down brake components and stressing the suspension. Do that thousands of times and you have basically aged your car 5 years in one. The people hitting 500,000 miles are not babying their vehicles. They are simply not abusing them. There is a difference. Trick number 5. Fuel system cleaners every 10,000 kilometers, which is roughly every 6,200 miles. Japanese drivers regularly add fuel system cleaner to keep the injectors clean and to keep combustion happening where it should be. It is a small step that is incredibly easy to skip, and most people do skip it. But dirty fuel injectors cause poor fuel economy, rough idling, reduced power, and accelerated engine wear. A $10 bottle of fuel injector cleaner every 6,000 miles versus a $2,000 engine repair down the road. The math is not hard. Trick number 6. Address every noise immediately. Here is where Japanese car culture is completely different from American car culture. In America, your car makes a weird noise, and you turn the radio up. In Japan, a tick, a clunk, or a squeal is an early warning system, and you respond to it immediately. One Japanese high-mileage owner documented how he caught a failing timing chain tensioner early by paying attention to a subtle tick. The replacement part cost $80. If he had ignored it, the timing chain could have snapped, destroying the engine. That repair would have been $2,000 or more. Diagnosing problems early is not just cheaper. It prevents one failure from cascading into 5 other failures. A small coolant leak becomes a blown head gasket. A worn belt becomes a seized alternator. A minor vibration becomes a destroyed wheel bearing that takes out the hub assembly. Small problems grow. Japanese owners do not let them. Trick number 7. Replace belts and hoses. Before they fail, not after. Rubber components dry out and crack from heat and age. Serpentine belts, timing belts, radiator hoses, heater hoses, all of them have a finite lifespan. Japanese owners inspect these at every oil change and schedule replacements typically every 60,000 miles or 5 years, whichever comes first. A timing belt replacement costs a few $100s. A timing belt failure on an interference engine destroys the valves, the pistons, and sometimes the entire head. That is thousands of dollars and a car that is probably headed for the scrapyard. The difference between scheduled maintenance and emergency repair is the difference between keeping your car and losing it. Trick number 8. Clean the mass airflow sensor regularly. The MAF sensor tells the engine control unit how much air is entering the engine, so it can optimize the fuel mixture. When that sensor gets dirty over time from dust and oil vapors, it causes performance drops, poor fuel economy, and rough idling. Japanese owners clean it every 15,000 miles with MAF sensor cleaner spray. It takes 5 minutes. It costs under $10, and it keeps the engine running at peak efficiency. Most American car owners do not even know where their MAF sensor is, let alone that it needs cleaning. Trick number 9. Keep the car clean inside and out. And I don't mean clean for appearances. I mean clean for survival. Road salt, dirt, grime, and debris cause rust. Rust eats through body panels, frame rails, brake lines, and fuel lines. Once structural rust takes hold, it doesn't matter how good the engine is. The car is done. Regular washing, especially the undercarriage during winter months, prevents salt and chemical buildup. Waxing protects paint and prevents moisture from reaching the metal. Interior cleaning preserves rubber seals, dashboard components, and wiring harnesses from heat damage and deterioration. In Japan, keeping a car spotless isn't vanity, it's maintenance. Now here is the big one. Trick number 10, the maintenance log. This is really the trick that ties everything together. Japanese high-mileage owners write everything down. Every service, every fluid change, every noise that showed up and went away, every part that was replaced. Over years, that log becomes a genuinely useful document. Patterns emerge. You can see when components are nearing the end of their life based on historical data. Nothing slips through the cracks. But beyond the practical value, keeping a log represents a completely different way of thinking about your car. It is not something you ignore until a warning light forces the issue. It is something ongoing, something worth paying attention to, something you are actively invested in. That mindset is what the Japanese approach to car longevity is really about. There is something else most people do not know about. Japan has a mandatory vehicle inspection system called Shaken. Every vehicle over 250 cubic centimeters must undergo a comprehensive inspection every 2 years. Inspectors check braking systems, steering mechanisms, lighting, exhaust emissions, suspension, structural integrity, everything. The inspection is so strict and so expensive, often between $800 and $1,600, that many Japanese owners sell their cars rather than pay for the inspection and any required repairs. That is why so many high-quality, low-mileage Japanese used cars end up on the export market. But for the owners who do keep their vehicles, Shaken forces a level of maintenance discipline that simply does not exist in most other countries. You cannot skip maintenance when the government literally will not let you drive without passing a 60-point inspection. The system creates a culture where preventive maintenance is not optional. It is the law. Now let me tie this all together with some real numbers that prove this system works. Mike Neal's 2008 Toyota Tacoma reached 1.625 million miles, delivering medical supplies across North Carolina. He averaged 125,000 miles per year, kept meticulous records, and followed every single one of these maintenance principles. His original engine lasted 880,000 miles. The spark plugs lasted over 700,000 miles. Victor Shepard's 2007 Tundra reached 1 million miles in just 9 years with the original engine and transmission. An Austrian taxi driver named Manfred Dvorak put over 621,000 miles on a Toyota Prius on the original hybrid battery, using it as a daily taxi. He said the car never broke down on him once. A 1971 Toyota Corolla purchased new for $2,135, made it to 610,000 miles. The owner attributed the car's longevity to three things: warming up the car before driving, driving gently, and never skipping maintenance. The pattern is always the same: reliable engineering plus consistent, attentive. Maintenance plus smooth driving habits equals extraordinary longevity. None of these tricks require special tools. None of them require a mechanical engineering degree. They require patience, consistency, and a willingness to treat your car like it matters. The average American junks their car at 156,000 miles. That is not because the car cannot go further. It is because the owner stopped caring long before the engine gave up. Japanese car culture proves that with the right mindset and the right habits, 500,000 miles is not a fantasy. It is a realistic goal for anyone willing to put in the effort. That is all for today. If you found this valuable, hit the like button and subscribe so you do not miss our next video. Drop a comment below telling me what your car mileage is and what brand you drive. I would love to hear your high mileage stories. Thanks for watching. We will see you in the next one.